Welcome to another episode of Tangled Rights. I'm one of your hosts, Justin W. Wilson, Esquire, along with
Shane D. Cox, Esquire. Attorney's licensed in Nevada. Justin's licensed in Kansas. I know we always say it, but
whatever.
We just like
in
to
case
say
there's
it.
somebody who's new and hasn't listened to the other
37. We're on 38. We're on 39 today.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
Now the show is older than I am.
Yeah, just by a little bit.
Yep.
None of this is intended to be legal advice. We always have to give that disclaimer out there. We are attorneys, but we're not your attorney unless you hired us already. But do not rely on anything we say. Consult your local attorney. Okay.
Yep. Not legal advice, dog.
Okay. We're going to revisit something real quick.
Okay.
Remember that shooting that happened? There was a burglary. Somebody broke into a home. Cops were there, and then they came back again and actually shot the homeowner. Okay. Remember this story?
Here in town?
Here in Las Vegas, yes.
You mean the one where the cops show up and then within 13 seconds or 14 seconds, they shoot the homeowner right in the face?
That one.
Yeah, I remember.
News is so cyclical, so I want to bring it back and say the police officer still not charged with anything. Still not charged with anything. Sometimes it takes public outcry for these things to happen.
Say something. This is stupid.
Yes. So just putting that out there. Sometimes the cops just punt it and say, we're going to do an internal investigation. And most of the times, even if they've done something wrong, they say, we've done nothing wrong. If you're investigating yourself, that's not typically the right way to do things. That's why people hire outside companies sometimes do that. But then again, they're being paid by the company.
Or they'll have like the attorney general do it or something like that. It's another law enforcement organization, but it's not Metro.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So just reminding of that. And then I just wanted to talk about the charges against Alejandra Boudreaux, I think is her name. I don't know if that was her original. I know she transitioned male to female. So
you're talking about the
changed the last name too.
Person that kicked that was breaking and entering into this guy's house before he was shot by the police. So within 15 seconds of them arriving at his house after they kicked his door in, that lady?
They had some kind of relationship. The guy, the decedent and her. But I just wanted to bring this up, just remind our listeners, hey, if you're in a position, do something. And a legal term that we can learn from this was about grand jury indictment returns, Markham notice. So just give us a real brief, what you hear these phrases out in the world, grand jury indictment. What does that mean? So Nevada, we have something called a Markham notice that's specific to Nevada. That's not everywhere. But
so grand jury indictment is there's two ways to go from justice court into district court. You can either do a preliminary hearing, which is a probable cause determination by an independent magistrate, blah, blah, blah. Or you go to a grand jury, which has up to, I think, 16 people on it. They're impaneled for quite a while. It is a jury, but it's not a jury that happens for one case. It's a jury that hears a ton of cases. They're in there for like 6 weeks, 8 weeks, something like that.
So my wife actually just got a letter in the mail asking if she was interested in doing grand jury. And I think it was like $40 per Wednesday. You go a few months in a row on just Wednesdays to hear these things. And it's not like a jury summons. You don't have to respond. It's just if you're interested is what it said. If you're not, don't even respond. It's not like...
They get a bunch of people. Oh, I just got a jury summons, by the way.
Oh, an actual jury summons?
Yeah, regular jury duty. I'm going.
Which court?
Clark County. I mean, I don't know.
Clark County District Court?
District, I think.
Okay. Yeah, could be.
I think it's in February 18th or something like that. I don't know.
Well,
and we're in February now. So but yeah, anyway, so they go to the grand jury. They present their case. The defendant can be there, but the defendant doesn't have the right to cross-examine or anything. They're allowed to testify if they want. Don't do that.
Yeah,
bad idea.
99%
of the time.
Ever do that.
99% of the time.
Okay.
I'm not going to say never. And then the grand jury will come back with an indictment, meaning that they say, oh, there's more than likely a crime committed here. And then it goes up to district court because they just file immediately in district court.
Okay. So,
and then Markham is the notice they give to somebody saying, hey, we intend to seek an indictment through the grand jury. You now have the ability to be there and do all the things that you have, all the rights that you have for grand jury.
So sometimes we'll see people get charged and we start in justice court and they realize for whatever reason they're not prepared and they think that they can get charges in still before the statute of limitations. So this Markham case decided you have to give notice to the defendant. So we'll see the prosecutors serve this special paper on our clients sometimes and say,
it's yellow.
Hey, you might be indicted later.
It's yellow.
You know, you're not off the hook. We're going to dismiss this today, but you might have to come back.
I think I might still have mine.
Oh, all right. Well,
I'm going to see if I do. If I do, I'll bring it in. Show everybody my Markham notice.
Yeah, let's not talk about attorneys getting charged with crimes right now.
You can sometimes just be in the wrong place. Dude.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean you did anything. Obviously,
you can beat the rap, but you can't beat the ride, right?
That's true, dude.
So, I wanted to get into the next topic here. You know who Shohei Ohtani is? Do you have any idea who Shohei Ohtani is?
That's a baseball player.
Okay. We don't have Austin House. We have George today, so that we're talking a little bit about sports betting. So Shohei Ohtani is a baseball player, probably the most famous baseball player in the whole entire world right now. He started his first season with the Dodgers, and they won. He
pitches real fast, doesn't he?
He pitches. He hasn't been pitching because he has an elbow injury, but he is still an amazing batter. It's like they say it's like the modern day Babe Ruth because he's such a good pitcher. He's won a Cy Young, and he's won the MVP just on his bat alone.
Really?
Like this season, and he comes in even as a designated hitter, doesn't even play the field. So amazing baseball player, getting paid a lot of money, lots of advertisement dollars. He is Japanese, came here straight from Japan.
You don't say.
Doesn't speak very much English. Okay.
Is he he's not the one who talked about cramps and making sure to have bananas so that he wouldn't cramp anymore?
I don't remember that story specifically. It could be. George,
insert video here.
Guy?
Insert video here.
Maybe?
I'll find it and send it to Austin.
Look it up. Maybe.
Tell me what can you eat to help you make you feel better?
Bananas.
Yeah. Why bananas?
Monkeys never claps.
So there was a story that came out before he started with the Dodgers. Okay. He had been with the Angels just down the street for a while. He wants to be in LA because that's the closest to Japan. So closest to get back home in the off season. So he wants to be on the West Coast. So he went from the Angels to the Dodgers. Right before he started with the Dodgers, it came out that his interpreter that he had for years with him was being investigated for some illegal sports betting. Okay.
Oh, no.
So this is before the season starts, about a year ago. Everybody kind of points the finger at Shohei Ohtani, thinking that he might be somewhat involved in this. Like, this guy's just the fall guy, taking millions of dollars. I'm sure that's what George believes. He thinks everything is a conspiracy. So it comes out recently, very recently, there's a phone call of the interpreter pretending to be Shohei Ohtani to get a loan for $200,000.
So he can bet?
So we can insert that here.
Who am I speaking with?
Shohei Ohtani.
Thank you. How may I help you?
So I tried to log in to online banking, and it told me that it's not available to me at this time, and I need a call.
Sure, I can take a look into that. And could you tell me the name of the payee and the amount of the transaction, please?
For $200,000.
What is the reason for this transaction?
For a car loan.
Boom. So those of us who follow sports in any sense quickly recognize that this was the interpreter's voice pretending to be Shohei Ohtani. And in total, this guy supposedly ripped off Shohei for $17 million.
Holy shit.
And
doesn't Shohei make...
And so his contract, he's got deferred money, but yeah, no, that guy can cover it. He's going to end up being making over $1 billion in his lifetime
Good for him.
for playing baseball. Pretty epically.
Also, I found the guy's name.
Who was that?
Munenori Kawasaki.
Okay, so not Shohei.
No.
Everybody kind of respects Shohei, so everybody thought it might have been like another Tiger Woods situation where the really clean-cut family guy is actually, a degenerate sports gambler behind the scenes. So
wait, Tiger Woods is a degenerate sports gambler?
No, just a type of degenerate. His was sleeping around and peeing on girls, but not
That's a thing.
It's
Famous
different.
people love peeing on people. Didn't
I don't know.
Reginald Kelly do that?
I don't know who
Is that his name? Is it Reginald?
Who are you talking about? Oh, gross. Is that what the R stands for?
I don't know. Hold on, let me look it up.
Okay.
R. Kelly.
It very well could.
Ooh, Robert Sylvester
Robert.
Kelly.
Okay, Robert,
But
not
Dave
Reginald.
Chappelle had the whole song. Pee on you, drip, drip, drip. Oh my God. Insert video here.
So Ipe, who is Ohtani's interpreter, is now about to get sentenced. He took a plea deal, so other people are wondering, why did he take a plea deal instead of pointing the finger at Shohei? Shohei's actually paying him. But this phone call comes out, kind of clearing Shohei. I don't know. There's so much money that comes out of Shohei's account that people are really kind of questioning this. But he's about to get sentenced. His attorneys are asking for 18 months.
For $17 million.
And the prosecution is asking for something like 6 years. And this is in federal court, too, because there's wiretapping. So whenever money gets involved and taking money, and usually you'll go to federal court. So this ends up in federal court.
Doesn't have to be federal court to get wiretapped.
Doesn't have to be, but
as we've seen.
But yeah, sometimes.
Recently.
Okay.
In the state of Nevada.
No, I'm just saying for wire fraud. Wire fraud issues. You can get, sorry, did I say tap? Wire fraud. Okay. Wire fraud typically is federal because it deals with the federal currency. So
the feds own that? The federal government owns it?
I'm not saying they own it, but across the state lines.
I thought the federal currency was from the Federal Reserve.
Yes.
Which is neither federal nor reserve.
All right.
I'm not suicidal.
Get your theories out of here.
They're not theories. They're fucking, it's truths, bro.
So we'll see very soon before this episode comes out, I think, what Ipe gets sentenced to. So that'll be interesting. It's been like 6 or 7 months. They waited for sentencing after he took a plea deal. Federal court, everything's slow there. Unless they're asking you to do something. And
then it's got to happen right now.
Then it has to happen right now.
Like my friend, Adam, who got a grand jury subpoena in California through the feds, had FBI agents show up to his house, and they're like, oh, you got to be in California in 4 days. And if you don't, we can hold you in contempt and arrest you. He calls me. He's like, hey, can they do this? And I was like, well, I looked it up. The rules say that you got to be at least 14 days. Let me call the AUSA. So I end up talking to an AUSA and an FBI agent being like, yo, bro, what's the scope here? Is he actually, does he have some concerns? Do I need to try to get out there? And they're like, oh, no. He's just a precipient witness, blah, blah, blah. It's fine. So I've never had an attorney lie to me. That is not what happened. They dug in during this grand jury. They were trying to get him to, but they didn't. But the point is that they just showed up to his house and they're like, here, show up on Thursday. This is like a Saturday. We got it moved. They gave us an extension because technically I could have filed a motion and gotten it quashed. But I felt like the easier thing to do would just be to punt because I knew they were going to get it anyway. Even if you quash it now, they're just going to reissue it for 14 days later. Yeah. And then it's a go along to get along kind of thing. But the point is that, they're sometimes unreasonable.
Federal court's a little different. Yeah.
Yes.
They're demanding tougher timelines, and you can get sanctioned a lot easier there.
It was weird though. Like, I need to call an FBI agent and talk to him. What the fuck am I doing calling an FBI agent? Who the fuck am I?
Yeah.
Where are the adults?
All right, next story. Okay, skip right over this baseball gambling thing. I have a story that involves Jacksonville. We got the next three we have.
Jacksonville, Florida?
Jacksonville, Florida. I have a hat. Jacksonville Suns, okay?
That's not as cool as your usual hats.
No, it was just I went to Jacksonville with my wife and I bought out, a lot of their Jacksonville hats.
You bought the entire...
I bought...
all the hats they had?
A few of them, anyway. So it's blue, white J, red bill. Very simple J.
With the yellow outline on the...
it's gold because it's the sun, because it's sunny. Yeah.
Isn't Jacksonville also, don't they have Jaguars there?
They do have Jaguars. It's right next to the minor league baseball stadium, actually.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
Duval. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Where is Jacksonville?
Neither does their coach.
Where does Jacksonville in the state, though?
It's the northeast.
I'm pulling it up right now.
Northeast of Orlando.
Oh.
It's really nice. On the coast. Jacksonville Beach is very beautiful.
That's not as fun, I don't think.
Why?
Well, because you're not going to have the swamps and all that stuff. On the other side, it would be a little bit more.
They have the beach. I walked Jacksonville Beach.
Okay,
beautiful.
Beaches
absolutely
are nice.
Amazing.
I'm not saying they're not, but you can't yoink any swamp puppies there. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Well, this story involves...
You know what I'm talking about? Yoink? Yeah, you know.
This story involves a lady by the name of Miriam Helmick. I just lay in bed and I have 2020 or whatever shows on now, and
you're an old man.
I'm an old man now. I see these and I look at them and I'm like, oh, there's something to talk about here.
Affirmative murder porn.
Yeah, Miriam's Miriam had 2 children, son and a daughter. Very sad story. Her daughter overdosed on drugs and passed away. 2 years later, her husband
Fentanyl?
this was years ago, so I don't. It was
Probably just heroin.
Probably
Okay.
might have just been heroin. That's my guess anyway. But
Still no good. Doesn't
Yes.
matter what the drug is.
horrible,
Sucks.
very sad. 2 years later, Miriam's husband, father of the daughter,
Mhm.
is found dead in his bed while Miriam was laying there, gunshot wound to the right side of his head. Okay.
Which side was she on?
I don't know about that.
Well, it matters
I don't know about that.
because you're either in the
Here-
path of the bullet or you're not.
I don't think so. I think it's towards, yeah. But he is left-handed was some of the news, but Son does say, well, he had an injury to his right hand, so he became left-handed. He was ambidextrous. Okay.
Had an injury like that healed, or had an injury like his right hand was not usable, and then he still shot himself in the left side or in the right side of his head.
At some point in his childhood, he started using his left hand, but could use both.
Okay, I got you.
But he was considered to be left-handed.
Okay.
Okay. Right side. Yeah.
I understand.
Okay. That's the story.
Right side, right hand. Understood.
Fast forward a few years here. Okay. A few years. She leaves Jacksonville, moves to Colorado, Western Colorado, to enjoy retirement, the end of her years. She becomes a dance instructor.
Why would you go to Colorado from Florida?
I don't know.
Isn't that the opposite? Don't people usually go the cold to the warm?
Quite a few.
Snowbirds?
Hey,
It's a whole thing?
I don't know.
Whatever. All right.
She moves to
I'm
Western
going to go
Colorado.
out on a limb and say she has other eccentricities aside from going backwards.
Just wait for this one.
Uh-huh.
So she moves to Western Colorado, meets a man at her dance studio who pursues her. Okay.
He's going to regret that, I guess.
Yes, he is. They end up married.
Mm.
Okay. He has an insurance business, or no, he has a title company. Pretty close to retirement. He's selling the title company. They're getting a check for about $100,000. They're kind of in the outskirts of town. He's selling his business. I don't
For
know if it was
$100,000?
a final payment. This is early 2000s. So
Still.
yeah, I don't know.
Whatever.
Maybe it's a small title company. I don't know.
Okay.
So
They do one title a year.
So after they're picking up this check, supposedly somebody had tried to light their car on fire. There was some gasoline in the gas tank, kind of tried to start on fire, something like that. They it gets investigated. Cops talk to him, say, "Oh, my wife would never do anything like this. Nothing like that. She would have nothing to do with it." She's like, "I have no idea what would happen. Maybe he had some bad dealings with
What was her name again?
Miriam Helmick." Okay. You're going to see the final story.
I just
want to
see. I just want to see what she looks like. I'm not going to look at any of the stories.
Old white lady. I don't know. Well, she's going to be in
This
cuffs. when you see
this
it.
lady right here.
No, that's the investigator you're looking at that was
Okay.
interviewed on the show. Looks like her.
Is this her?
Yes, that's her.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I could see.
All right.
I'm just trying to piece this together in my head.
So
I don't know.
So one day she's home. She gets home from shopping.
Hmm.
She's out shopping. Calls the police, says, "I found my husband with a bullet in his head and my house has been ransacked." Okay. All right. Story we've heard before, right? Okay. They look into her. They look into where she says she was. There's video cameras of her, cell phone towers of her all around town the entire day. Okay.
Not at home though.
Not at home. All right.
Uh-oh.
Not at home. So
The plot thickens.
Her
son helped her.
Yes. So
Damn it.
not her son.
His son.
She points out his son, Junior, who might have had some issues. She points at him. She goes in for an interview, not with an attorney, just goes to look innocent, I guess. Yeah, she talked to the cops. She actually didn't get herself in trouble yet.
Well,
then,
I'm
okay?
going to go out on a limb and say that if we look at the cascade, it started with talking to the cops.
Yeah, I'd say yeah, but in this case, there's a
it
little.
probably started with murdering a couple of people.
Yeah.
You might get one freebie, folks, but you can't keep repeating it. The whole Black Widow thing, not a good plan. Just saying. This fucking guy knows.
That will be a problem here. Okay, so time keeps on going. Cops, they kind of...
It doesn't stop.
They're
ever.
Yeah, the cops are working behind the scenes, knocking doors, looking into leads, looking
They-
into his business, seeing
They
if there's
love
any...
investigating things, don't they?
They do. They are looking into any
Why are they
leads.
so obsessed with us?
See, American citizens, we have rights, don't you know? So they keep looking
I know my
into
rights.
business dealings. Everybody says, everybody loved this guy.
Okay.
Everyone loved this man, no problems. And then one day, okay,
He's shot in the face.
Miriam gets home. A couple months later, Miriam gets home. There's a card underneath her welcome mat. Okay, she gets this card. She looks at the card, and the title that you said, it does say "Run, run, run." Your husband was first. You're next. Run, run, run. Okay, kind of scribbled, spelled completely wrong. Names are spelled wrong. All of that in this. Okay.
Well, I mean, with what you just said,
barcodes cut out.
there's no name in the word husband. You just said run, run, run.
It said his name.
Oh, okay,
Well,
okay. You're paraphrasing.
We'll look
I
up a
understand.
picture of it. We'll put it up so you can
Okay,
see.
all right.
We'll look at
Whatever.
what it says. Don't be a jerk.
I'm
man.
not.
I'm paraphrasing here.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Gotcha.
I'm trying to
I
fucking
don't have
follow
it.
along,
I don't
man.
have it in front of me. So the police look into this, look for fingerprints on it. They see hers, of course, because she touched it. Oh well, whatever.
Not a big deal.
And then they look and see where this card was sold. It's a very unique card. It says something like craziness is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result on the front. So they look into it and they go to a grocery store, and they find the person who had bought this same exact card. Guess who it was?
Her son.
Her. She had bought it herself.
Oh shit.
So then they start investigating and they ask, hey, why did you do this? I think she gets an attorney at this point and says through the attorney, you guys weren't taking it seriously enough. So I needed to do something for you guys to take it more seriously.
Oh my God.
This is where I go crazy and I think, lady, if you have a potential, if you know you committed a crime and you want help with defending yourself, because no matter what, the state has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you did it. She just put the target square on her back with that.
And let me tell you,
She is the only suspect after this moment.
if they don't arrest you, like right after a murder,
That's pretty good.
it's
That's
huge.
That's a good sign.
Because most of the time you get, if especially if you're around, right? If you find the body, if you're at the scene, whatever, you're going to get arrested right then and there. There might be some stuff that happens later where you end up getting out of custody and you're waiting trial, but they're going to take you in. They're going to come up to an conclusion real fast.
Yeah, if you run and there's evidence of you being at the scene, that's bad for people too. I mean, you're in a no-win situation in something like that. I get it,
Yeah.
but I wish that she would have. I mean, she's not telling anybody that she committed the murder because that would get out to people, right?
Sure.
So
I wish she wouldn't have murdered him.
These ideas the ideas in people's heads that can commit a murder and think that it's okay, I guess, also would lead to somebody thinking writing a card like this would only be good for me because then it would mean it's not me and it's somebody else, and
Yeah.
they wouldn't have any evidence.
Maybe
as to
if
who
I
it
would
was.
have eliminated the language on the card or just used a random scrap of paper and crayons and then burned them or whatever.
Yeah.
So throw them in a swamp or something.
So obviously,
Reverse yoink.
sheesh. Obviously, the investigation turned right on its head to her. I'm sure they were investigating her already, but
So the cops then fingered her for
cops
for the crime.
They pointed the finger at her, started looking into things further. Okay, and turns out she had pulled some life insurance policies. That was one of her defenses. I wouldn't have anything to gain. We signed a prenup. Turns out she had pulled out like millions of dollars of life insurance on him.
Did they pay out?
I don't know if they had or not. I think there's always an investigation period, especially in a murder, to see what happens. I think that's reasonable for an insurance company to do probably instead of just, oh, well, he's dead.
Oh, dead.
Even though
Million-
wives are always the number one suspect. Here's your millions,
Here's your $1 million.
So-
And you know how insurance companies love paying out on policies.
Yeah, and she had taken out a loan in his name too or something like that. So she had gotten money. She skips town. She says, oh, I'm scared. I'm moving to Jacksonville. So she moves back with her son in Jacksonville. It turns out she starts on dating sites like, only a few months after
Hey,
the heartbreak of her life, allegedly.
I
They showed some of those
am
messages
looking for
too.
a new husband to kill.
Ugh, yeah. Old. Yeah. So she obviously gets investigated, gets charged with murder, gets extradited back to Colorado, goes, to trial and gets convicted.
Oh, shocking. Crazy.
That's the final story. think about what you're doing. If an attorney you have attorney-client privilege with, so not to commit a
Absolute
further crime,
confidentiality.
not to commit any further crimes, but for your past crimes,
Yep.
if you come with us with a consultation, we cannot narc
Absolute
on you.
confidentiality.
We could never say anything. That's violating our attorney ethics rules. We could lose our license over that.
I think I told the story about Armani, right? The dude from Syracuse that is the reason that there's that rule.
Go ahead.
He was representing a serial killer, and there were bodies that were still hidden, and his client told him where they were at, and the public was freaking out on him. I met him during my last trial competition. He was one of our judges because he's like kind of a big figure.
Yeah.
And the long story is that he wouldn't tell. And he got ostracized, like the media was all on him and stuff. And then like 20 years later, they're like, hey, it was right. And so now it's a situation where he didn't tell because even the guy was like, oh, I told him. I'm not telling you guys though. And they're like, oh, yeah, where are the bodies? The families just want closure, whatever. And he's like, I got this rule. So we can't tell. Nor do we want to.
Was the serial killer dead after that? Does it survive his death?
I don't remember.
There are certain privileges that are terminated upon death, and there's certain that are not. So I don't, we've never been faced with that.
Yeah,
yet.
I
So
hope.
that's kind. In the future, it might happen, but
it's called the Buried Bodies case. And his name was Frank H. Armani. And the client's name was Robert Garrow Sr. And this was back in the early 70s.
wow.
Yep.
Can
He was in
imagine.
Syracuse. It was really cool to meet him. He was an old guy. Lots of cool stories.
Can't imagine. The
Anyway,
guy's still
the
alive,
point
but-
being, we can't tell for any reason, even when we want to. And this is saying that they were harassed and threatened by the public. They received death threats, angry letters. News outlets claimed they obstructed justice and acted as accomplices after the fact. They were criticized for their callousness and lack of concern. So, like, you're talking about a situation where you have all the pressure in the world to just tell. This guy didn't do it, and so that's why the ethics rules are the way they are.
Because
It's tough, dude.
if she hadn't done this, who knows? You can't like reverse time and see what would have
Mhm.
happened, but it could have been an unsolved mystery. And it turned out that eventually, because of their suspicions, they got a warrant to dig around the home. They found the gun that was his gun buried in the yard, same caliber that he was shot with. So it didn't look like there was struggle, no defensive injuries, didn't look like a break-in because they didn't really take anything from inside the house. So this looked like a murder of a spouse on a spouse. So nothing ever got investigated back in her first husband's, and her son gave an interview and he knows that his father was depressed based on his sister passing away, his daughter passing away.
Mm-hmm.
So whether that one was a murder or something else, who knows? I certainly don't know.
You want
But
to hear a neat fact that I just looked up?
about what?
Nearly 346,000 cases of homicide and non-negligent manslaughter went unsolved from 1965 to 2023.
Yeah.
So 350,000 murders just weren't solved. And like there's lists, let me see, Nevada, 2,549. Like there's just a whole bunch of them. And this is from the FBI crime stats, 2,100 in Kansas. So if you just keep quiet, you could potentially be in that group.
Maybe.
Essentially.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm not, people who murder, I guess.
2023 was a record high year
Aren't-
of unsolved murders. That sucks.
Interesting. Well, there's still time.
Yep,
Some of
there's
these
still
cold
time.
cases after
Cold case.
years get solved. All right. Another one. You sent me this one on Instagram, but I found the original video about Taco Bell loitering. This is just west of Jacksonville. So we are stuck. We are stuck in Northeast Florida. You are mad about this one. Let's talk about it in the sense of, for our listeners, what we would recommend in this situation. And this is, you can beat the rap, but you can't beat the ride. Okay.
Yep.
That's the saying. I guess we'll explain it a little bit. You can beat the rap. You can beat the charges. You could have a not guilty dismissal, but you're going to get the ride. You're going to take a ride to jail.
Which can
And get
include
bucked.
the ride on the old taser,
And it could
which
be,
sucks.
it could be, it could be.
You ever been tased?
Oh,
I,
well.
I pissed myself a little bit when it happened to me. Sucked.
All right. So this is a guy in Baker County, small county. He is black. He has an afro. Yeah. I looked him up after.
Oh, because you can kind of see his hands. He's light skinned.
He posted the video. He's pretty light skinned. It's
Okay.
dark. It's dark, so you can't really tell, I guess, skin color too bad. It's dark at night. It's nighttime, so you can't. In the lighting of the video, you can't really see. That's what I meant.
Okay.
I'm not trying to make this.
I'm not. You're right. You're right.
But
You're right.
it
Anyway.
is in not in a big city. It's in a small area, rural area, as we'll say. And he's in his car. He has a bag of Taco Bell that he's eating.
Mm-hmm.
He's not in the Taco Bell parking lot. He had crossed the street and he's eating his food across the street.
How far from the Taco Bell was he?
It was just across the main street that's like
So you're talking 30 meters?
Yeah, something. Yeah, not
Short.
far. Not
Short. You could throw a rock that far?
short distance, but across the street, not in the same parking lot. He had crossed the main street for whatever reason. Just setting it up. We will insert the video right here.
How you doing, sir?
Howdy.
What you got going on, brother?
I'm not going to answer any questions.
You don't answer any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, we know you're part of a closed business, right?
Can I show you?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're familiar with this brand?
No.
You would identify that brand as Taco Bell?
Okay, I see
Yeah.
the order ahead. Okay.
Yes, yeah. You see the consumed Taco Bell in the bag?
Right, yeah.
All right, we're doing some detective work here, right?
Okay.
And if you turn behind you, there's a Taco Bell, and so
Right.
I drove from Taco Bell, and
Okay.
then I ate my Taco Bell,
Okay.
and I was in the process of eating my Taco Bell when I was
Right.
stopped by your officers. So, am I free to go?
Well, not right now. We're trying to get your information from you, sir.
What's your name and badge number?
It's Sergeant Baldwin. This is a closed business. It's considered loitering and prowling. You can't be part of that closed business if you're eating your food or whatnot. Simple thing is when they ask for identification, you're supposed to provide it.
Am I free to go?
No, you got identification on you.
I'm literally not going to answer any of your questions. So, am I free?
So now we watched the video that you sent me earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Florida is a state where if you are stopped on suspicion of a crime, you do have to identify yourself with your license. Okay. They have a specific law on that. So to give a little more detail, a female cop had approached him first and talked to him. We showed the video of the supervisor talking to him after.
Yeah.
They said they're accusing him of loitering because
it was a specific loitering statute. It wasn't just loitering. It
It's
was
a-
something about businesses.
it's being outside of businesses. What it's supposed to prevent, okay, is burglaries. So if
People
there's
casing for burgles.
people casing joints, right?
Yeah.
So he's outside a different store, not at the Taco Bell, because you're not going to rob the Taco Bell. But I think it was a Harbor Freight or something like that across the street that's closed, and he's just sitting in the parking lot, just eating his food. Okay,
Mhm.
so
Which is legal.
which
In and of itself, eating the food in your car is legal.
yes,
Yeah.
okay. The law was it's kind of like written if you're in a place that you shouldn't be, is how it's kind of broadly written.
Right.
Okay, so that was the tough part there. So.
Which would have to be a non-public roadway.
So he does not give them his license. He refuses to talk to them. Okay.
Right, because this dude's
Refuses
just
to identify
chilling,
himself.
eating his Taco Bell.
Reads him Miranda rights.
After a time.
Reads him Miranda rights.
That was the third guy he talked to that read him.
yeah,
Miranda
and the
rights.
guy just doesn't answer. He says, "Do you understand?" And he just doesn't answer. So then he says, "All right, well, we're going to arrest you then." Okay. So they do end up arresting him. Justin, my question, you hate this that the cops do this
Oh, I hate
because
it.
he has a Taco Bell bag.
It's not just that. It's that the lady was like acting like it was so unfounded that he would have driven across the street to eat the Taco Bell and that he wasn't trying to rob a Harbor Freight. It's like he's literally, as she walks up, it's not like he's scrambling to get the bag. He's just hop, 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 hop. And he's being sarcastic to her because she's asking the stupidest fucking questions.
He is being sarcastic.
And he's like, "Do you see the?" I love the part where you see this right here. You got your light. Oh, Taco Bell. And if you turn around, it's right there. I don't know, man. I hate it, but at the same time, the real advice I would give somebody is just give them your ID.
That was my question
it's
for you.
stupid.
You were mad about this.
It's
but
stupid. You're gonna give them the ID. They're gonna run you, and they're gonna let you go. But here's the long and short of it: small town cops do small town cop things. If in Vegas would that happen? Probably not. They have important shit to worry about.
It would depend on what area, I guess, in Vegas,
Maybe.
right?
But I also don't know many areas where you have a Harbor Freight and a Taco Bell right next to each other.
And I don't know if there's a string of, burglaries in this area. Are they called out for that specific reason?
Maybe.
Is there security in the area that says, hey, we can't go and talk to this guy because we've had, been accused of prior issues. So we always are instructed to call the cops or something like that. So if he would have given his ID,
he probably wouldn't have gone to jail. But the question is,
that's the fine line, I guess.
How much do you want to prove the point?
Is it worth more to you being right? Or is it worth more to you,
You got nothing to do. Like, let's say he's unemployed, no problems, and he has like a spare $500 for the tow that's going to happen to his car. Fuck him.
Yeah, he did it. I mean, and sometimes these videos go out, and this one went semi-viral. This is a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And so he did a Give, Send, Go, which is GoFundMe, but a different version, to help with his legal defense. And so he got some money donated there.
Good.
Posted some update videos about it, which are now offline. But I saw some clips of it, and basically they dismissed the charges.
Shocking.
Doesn't look like he pursued a 1983 claim because there's not much damages.
Yeah,
there.
that's the issue, is the damages.
And did the cops do anything? They did something stupid. You agree with that? But did they do anything against his constitutional rights? Is the question.
If they dismiss the charges, that means it means one of two things. It means one, either the facts didn't line up to elements, meaning that he didn't,
or they can just choose to dismiss cases if they think
choose
they're
to
dumb,
dismiss.
right?
That's what I just was going to get to. Or they choose to dismiss because it wasn't worth the headache it was going to be. I don't know, man. Here's the thing. Both the people were wrong. The cop was acting like a fucking idiot, right? I'm big bad cop, man.
You didn't give me your ID, so now I have to arrest you.
I'm in charge here. I don't know why that's my cop voice today, but whatever.
I guess.
All right,
what message do they send if they ask for ID and he says no, and then they just let him go though? Like what?
But it's different whenever this cop just goes up to this person right next to a Taco Bell and he's eating. The guy should have been a little bit more compliant, maybe a little more respectful. She should have been like, you know what? He is eating a Taco Bell bag and he's got 4 tacos and he's already done 2 of them and he's halfway through his Pepsi. Delicious, by the way. They don't sponsor us, but we'd accept it.
But Taco Bell, and Pepsi are tied together. Yeah, you're
grilled
right.
cheese burritos, bro.
So good.
Oh, you're hired. Austin, you're fucking fired. That was awesome. How'd you do that? Oh, that's so good.
Why is it always you just have Taco Bell clued in, huh? Austin does love Taco Bell. That's right.
But yeah, so the cop had like a fucking chip on her shoulder, which again, I'm not going to get into the psychology of it or whatever. And I understand that female officers have it different than male officers and that they probably have to approach things a little different. You can't be as big of a pushover, right? You have to be a little bit more dominant because look, this dude goes up to me as a cop, whatever. What am I going to think? Versus somebody Jessica's size, a cop comes up to me, right? If she doesn't come up kind of hard and fast, I might think, all right, whatever. You see what I'm saying?
Just ignore, yeah.
Right.
So give me the real cop.
And I'm not getting into that. That's not what I'm saying. But she kind of had a chip on her shoulder to begin with, and not in the way that she was trying to command authority, but in the way that she seemed like she's being a bit of a dick, which maybe if she wouldn't have been that way, he wouldn't have responded with the sarcasm. And then I call this compound decision making. This is when you have 2 sets of stupid and you add them together, multiply them, they make a dumb baby, and it's even dumber than both of them together. I came up with that phrase.
It's not like when 2 odd numbers add together. It's always an even number.
It's not even.
Oh, it just stays.
This is from the same weekend that I about hit that cop in Austin. This was all my buddies when we discovered vodka Red Bulls, that rugby tournament. That's when compound decision making was coined as a term.
I like that.
Compound decision making.
I'm surprised we haven't gotten there yet with this. So yes.
Anyway,
do you think if the cop approaches and say, "Hey, so technically speaking, there is a statute that says you cannot be outside of a closed business."
I would touch,
because it looks like prowling. It looks like you're prepping for a burglary. So for that reason, and only that reason, I'm asking for your ID just to run you to make sure you don't have any burglary history. I see you do have Taco Bell. I appreciate that. But a criminal could also have Taco Bell and be casing out a joint. So I just need your ID.
Yeah. And then also,
is that different? Do you think that ends
100%,
with something different?
100%. What's the phrase? You catch more flies with honey than vinegar?
Are you sure you know that phrase?
Or sugar? I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
What's the phrase?
I knew you didn't know that.
What is it?
Yeah. You've never practiced that. So
what is it? What is the actual phrase?
You catch more flies with honey than vinegar.
Oh. Why did you make me think I was wrong?
Because you've never used that in your entire life. Never.
I Dude, my brain's not working.
Okay.
Right now. Whatever. Anyway, yes, I think that makes a difference. Do I think that you need to coddle people all the time as a police officer? No. But in that situation where it really doesn't look like anything's happening and you're about to, potentially violate someone's constitutional rights, plus he's not being threatening. You can see there's no weapons in there. Whatever.
You can see into his car. There's no burglary tools or anything.
It's just it's all fact specific and how I would approach it if I was a police officer. And I would do it the same way I deal with people, right? When they're jerks to me, I'm going to be a jerk right back to them. When they're cool to me, I'm going to try to be cool to them.
And what some people might ask is, does this happen because he's black? Is there some element that happens because
all three
he's
of the
black?
officers were white?
Yeah. So that's a question. Could be. We don't know.
I don't know.
That could be an element.
It could also be because he's a male.
Could be.
She was female.
Yeah. And he's a young male too, which is,
young men
burglaries.
Quit burgling.
Well, they're the prime suspects for that. That's the biggest demographic, right?
Males?
I'd say young males.
You think
20s.
so?
Yeah. I'd say that's the biggest demographic for
I
this.
feel like if you're counting burglaries as like when they go into a store to steal stuff,
yeah,
it might be chicks. Think about it. Going into Sephora?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like during open hours, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, okay.
Because there are some places that'll still have it be burglary.
Yeah. Okay, I agree with you. I guess I'm thinking of the nighttime burglary as the classic.
Oh, the classic.
Yeah.
Entering the dwelling of another at night.
Yeah.
For the purpose of committing a felony or blah, blah, blah.
So, interesting story.
It's a wild case. It could have been prevented if either one of them would have taken a step back and taken a breath.
I got a lot of Florida stories. Man, when I'm looking these up, there are so many stories out of Florida. I'm running out of hats.
Do you want to
move
to Florida?
No. We'd clean up doing criminal law, man. There'd be so much there.
We have to take the bar again.
I don't want to take the bar again.
I'll do it.
All right. Well, you look into that. That's all the other stuff. Had another one that I found that was just insane. Just, I think, a little west of this Taco Bell one. A Holiday Inn employee was fired and he refused to leave. Okay.
Wait, they fired him and he's like, I'm not going.
I'm not going. The cop shows up. You need to watch this video and we will insert it now.
Why are you still here, sir?
Because I want a valid reason before I know why I'm terminated.
Okay, that's not what Florida law is. So if they've asked you to leave, you need to leave, sir.
I mean, I'll clock out.
Okay, so they fired you.
Yeah, and they did not provide a valid
They don't
reason.
have to, sir.
Yes,
they
do.
no,
It's
no,
called
sir.
the wrongful termination.
No, sir.
Yes.
No, sir. Well, what I'm not going to do is sit here and argue with you. Okay, you've been asked to leave. You've been terminated. So that means at this point you're trespassing. So you can either leave with me or you can leave on your own free will.
You going to file a trespassing suit against me?
I will put you in jail. So would you like to leave? Okay. You have asked him to leave?
Yes,
All right, put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back.
The officer ended up having to deploy his taser twice before Zachary would cooperate. Once on the ground, Zachary told the officer he had a knife in one pocket and a gun in his other pocket.
Let go of your hands.
Wrong pocket. Jacket pocket, left side. Knife is in the forefront pocket on my right hip. Like I said, the knife is in my right pocket. I always carry them on me. I have a concealed carry. I'm sorry. I'm just very pissed off.
37, like I said, my radio's not getting out on 70.
Did they just let bygones be bygones or did they charge that kid?
I don't know. I didn't see the post of this. So if you're not visually watching, cop goes into a Holiday Inn in the back room. They kind of point out the guy that's fired and you hear the conversation. So we won't go over all of it, but it's a principle that we talk about with police encounters at all times. Your encounter with your employer as well. You're not going to prove your day right there. You're not going to, get all the evidence you need right there. There has to be investigation, discovery, questions being asked, testimony. So they don't have to give you a reason why they're firing you, and when the cop goes in, it doesn't matter to him. You're not the owner of this Holiday Inn. So if you're an employee, you're anybody, you're asked to leave, you got to go.
And that doesn't matter if it's a hotel, motel, Holiday Inn, any of them.
Yeah. And what were you going to say to the police officer? What should he focus on?
Doing cardio.
Yeah, he was breathing hard.
Need to do some cardio.
Yeah.
If there would have been a second person there, or if that guy wouldn't have gone down with the taser, would have been a long day for him.
And he didn't look.
And I get it, your adrenaline dumps because you got to fucking fight somebody, but come on, bro.
He wasn't too combative, and this isn't a situation. I guess he.
No, when he just pulled his hand away. He didn't even try to fight him. He put his hands up, and then he like pulled it away from his hand, and he had a phone in one hand or whatever. So it wasn't like he was actually trying to fight the cop. He just didn't want to get. I don't know. And so I have a couple questions here. The guy appeared somewhat normal, but his reaction was strange, right? So
Very strange. And he had a gun.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, which is fine, but
I just
like
wonder if he's
question-
like maybe spectrum-y.
Yeah, and we don't know what he's fired for either. There might have been something weird going on.
Maybe.
And as an employer, we have to deal with this. You're responsible for the actions of your employees while they're working hours and
Under
doing
certain circumstances.
Yeah, so typically, you could be responsible or have to pay out for something they do.
Yeah. Like shoot a customer.
Shoot a customer or being a peeping Tom, right? We've got something, related to that. These things are
Set
out there.
For mediation in 6 days.
So you have to, you cannot be too careful as an employer.
No.
If there's something that tips you off that there's some weird behavior of somebody.
Yeah.
Florida, I imagine Florida's right to work state like Nevada, where you don't have to have cause to fire somebody, but you cannot do it based on protected class, religion, race, family status, sexual orientation, whatever. You can't.
Florida is a right to work state.
So he is not entitled to answers right then.
Florida was the first state to pass right to work law in 1944.
Interesting. I'm not too surprised by that.
Yeah, they love freedom down there.
They like interesting things down there. Yeah. Okay. Go move already. Whatever. Coxton Wilson, Florida branch.
Hell yeah.
Go ahead. Whatever.
I'm down, dude. Florida's on the short list. Florida, Tennessee, and Texas.
Okay. Montana too, right? Colorado, Montana.
It's too cold.
In the mountains.
My kid, whatever.
Gotcha. Okay. So the point we tried to illustrate last week and we want to hammer in is you can beat the rap or you can win the case, but you're not going to maybe win in that instant. Okay. He's not going to get that evidence he needs of them saying why they're going to fire him. He's not entitled to that. Mm-hmm. It's what you can prove with evidence. Okay. So get the evidence later. If they're firing you for something protected, you'll be able to find that out. There, you can get text messages. You can get phone calls to prove a lot of things, Justin, right?
Yeah.
So, it's just a funny thing where he's immediately apologetic and said, I think after you stop watching,
he says, I'm mad.
He says, I
just wanted to know why they fired me.
I just really like this job and I didn't want to lose it. And it was like, then you start feeling sorry for the guy. And it's like, I
kind of already feel sorry for the guy because all he did was.
We don't know the whole story. We don't know the whole story. In the video,
you see that he pulls away. And at that point, the cop goes hands on. And it's like, he really didn't do that much. And they said he tased him twice. If you've ever been tased, it fucking sucks.
They had to call the cops and he wouldn't leave. That's such weird behavior.
It is weird behavior, man. But I obviously there's something not normal with him a little bit. So, or maybe it was just like a bad day or whatever. I don't know. So it was an atypical response. But either way, I kind of feel bad for the guy. And have you ever been fired from a job?
I don't think so.
I have.
No.
It sucks.
Yeah. Asking you to leave.
No.
Just.
The one that was the weirdest was this. It was that law job where they fired me after I came back from my mom's funeral, and I'm in there working. And
your contract was up, right?
No, this was at Alverson.
Oh, that one, yeah.
And so I'm in there working, and all of a sudden my computer starts wigging out on me, and my boss comes in like at the moment. I think they were like waiting outside. My boss or my direct supervisor, and then the HR lady, and they're like, "Hey, can we talk?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what's up?" And it never even fucking occurred to me. And so then I'm just like, I'm sitting there and I literally, that was the day I got back from my mom's funeral. So I was like kind of in a weird headspace. And she's like, you're fired. We're gonna have to let you go or whatever. And I was like, oh. And I started getting a little misty eyed and I was like, I'm so sorry. I don't know why. I'm just kind of like, my brain is weird right now. And she's like, it's okay. I was like, do you need me to finish what I'm working on? And she's like, no, it's fine. We'll finish it for you. And I'm like, okay. So what can I take my chair with me? Because I brought a chair. I bought one from Costco. And she's like, you can have your chair, Justin. I'm like, okay, can I go? And she's like, we'll walk you out. like, okay. And then they walked me out and I'm like pushing my chair and like all the little things I'd put in my office. And like all the people were like, it's embarrassing.
I mean,
it fucking sucks.
Yeah. No.
And I was like partially crying.
Well, your headspace was in
it was weird.
It
was a weird time.
Weird place with your mom's passing.
Super crazy. I remember thinking like, wow. Cause they know, right? They know. I was like,
they know I was just at my mom's funeral.
They couldn't even wait a week. Thanks,
like,
Derek.
What could I screw up in one week?
Thanks, Derek.
Yeah. All right. We won't talk about him. Time, George, how much we got? 10 more minutes. We'll go to the listener question. Okay. Our good listener, Julie, you said?
Julie.
What is the difference between an Alford plea and a regular plea? Okay.
Well, I think the question was Alford no contest.
Was it?
Yeah.
Alford no contest. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So an Alford plea comes from the case North Carolina versus Alford. Henry Alford was facing first-degree murder charges and a death penalty sentence. He insisted he was innocent, but there was strong evidence against him. So basically, he pled guilty to avoid the death penalty, and he got 30 years in jail instead. And so an Alford plea is functionally the equivalent of a guilty plea, but you maintain innocence and don't want to risk trial. So it's like, I'm not guilty, I didn't do this, but they're going to be able to prove their case. And so that's what an Alford plea is. It's basically... it helps people avoid harsh sentences. It eliminates civil liability, things of that nature. And that's like one of the big ones. If there's a civil case pending, then it can't be used against you because you're not admitting guilty, which in a criminal context is beyond a reasonable doubt, higher burden than in a civil context, preponderance of the evidence. No contest plea, you're accepting the charges, but you're not admitting to guilt or denying guilt, but they treat it as an admission of guilt, they being the court. And you tend to get sometimes less harsh sentences. So an Alford plea and a no contest plea function essentially the same. There's just some minor nuances that are different. But again, both of them allow you to not have civil liability, either one. Because there's no factual acknowledgement of guilt, a no contest plea can't be utilized. Because I will stipulate, but my client doesn't. So like in situations where we've got a DUI with a crash or something like that.
Yeah.
And let's say it's not a DUI, substantial bodily harm. Then a no contest plea can help with that. And South Carolina, as an example, a no contest plea can only apply to misdemeanor offenses with the court's consent. So every jurisdiction might have a different little weird rule about that. But generally speaking, you've got Alford, no contest, and then guilty. And in our guilty plea agreements, GPAs, a lot of time, it has to be a guilty plea. And that's sort of something that you...
otherwise, the prosecution won't agree to it. Right?
That being said, I did have one that was Alford.
Yeah, we had one recently. I
and
appeared for you.
He ended up going to prison. Remember, because he absconded and didn't come back to his sentencing when he was going to get probation?
That guy?
Yeah.
So I think I was there for this one too. Some crimes have no mens rea element. Okay, we'll talk about... we've talked about that. We'll remind you. Doesn't matter where your mind's at. You have to prove that you didn't do the crime. There's some crimes like that. So for example, if you have credit cards of 3 different people in Nevada, if you have one, they'd have to prove you have an intent to use it. If you have 3 or more, then they don't have to prove that you intended to use it. It's kind of a presumption. You have to prove that you didn't, or you had the right to have those credit cards. So this guy said that he found 3 credit cards on the side of the road, had them. And he's saying, well, I didn't have the intent.
It was more than like 5.
It was 5. It was
a lot.
It was over 3. So he wants to say, yeah, like, I know I had them. And
what
I don't know how
me?
to prove that
he told me
didn't
that
have
he
the right
was
intent. So I want to plead under Alford. Or he doesn't explain that to us, but we say, hey, we're going to have to do this under Alford. And it's a right everyone has now because of this case. It wasn't a right that prosecutors wanted to offer people because they could potentially use that crime later. Hey, look, he admitted to this before, so punish him harder the second time.
Nope.
So it kind of changes that calculus. Well, he admitted it because he knows there's evidence against him, but he's
still maintaining his innocence.
Yeah, he's maintaining his innocence. Hopefully that changes things, for sentencing in the future. Does it really? It all depends. There's specific cases. I hope we talk about Alford again because I have some hats from the city where this happened.
Okay.
So
the weird
I'm
thing
sure
about,
it'll come up again.
The weird thing about our guy was that he told me he was going to drop the credit cards it was credit cards, it was IDs. He was going to drop them in a post office box.
That's
because
what he said.
If you take an ID and you drop it in a post office box, they'll just send it to him.
Yeah.
It's just, I found this ID. Which is kind of cool.
But you get picked up.
But he had in his pocket and his wallet, there were several of them, and he's homeless. living in a wash. So it's like, yeah. And then he dipped out. But guess what ended up happening with this? Did I tell you?
No.
So he dips out. He gets arrested. We come back. We did a modified sentence to where with the credit for time served he was only going to go up for like another 2 months and the case was going to be closed.
Oh, wow.
So by screwing off.
It wasn't his first felony either.
No, but we got him a drop down.
Yeah.
So he ends up with another felony. He does 2 months in the fishbowl and then he's out. The fishbowl, for those that don't know, is the place that you go when you first get to prison in the Nevada Department of Corrections. And it's like a processing center. So you don't have a lot of contact with legal. Can't call your folks very much. You get to talk to them once a week because they're processing everything. So it's limited. They're figuring out what your history is, where you're going to go, what
But
part
only
of the yard.
2 months.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
No. And then he doesn't have to be on probation, which he will undoubtedly fail. And he would have gone up for a 19 to 48. But we modified it down to a 12 or something like that. So with good time, he ends up getting out in 8.
Yeah.
So then he's almost done.
Yeah. So sometimes the prosecutors won't accept that. They want you to admit to the facts and,
But in a case like this where they don't care and they know they're going to have to deal with him again, they're like, all right, well, he goes up. We got our conviction. We keep our felony. He goes to prison, whatever.
So an abnormal thing. But in your case, maybe you want to consider an Alfred plea.
Also, good lawyering because we were able to take what could have been a really bad situation. I have the foresight to know my guy is not supervisable and I'm going to teach him a way to get out from underneath this by, taking a couple licks.
Yeah.
Stay good.
Stay hydrated.
Don't commit crimes. Don't talk to cops. See you guys later.
Bye.
I'm about to go punish the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department's policy on keeping property.
Let's do it, baby.